even though my mug says tea novels and Oxford commas. Today we're going to be chatting about some nonfiction books that I love and a few that I really want to get to. Hello book friends, I'm Jen and welcome to my reading life and welcome to a Nonfiction November video. I decided that I wanted to share some nonfiction books with you all. As a part of my Getting to Know Me video series, I did do a video exclusively about some of my favorite nonfiction books. I will link that video here, so if you want to check that out, you can get even more nonfiction recommendations from me. But I thought I would share a few books that I haven't talked about here before and wanted to share with you all. And then I also pulled a few books off my shelves that I really want to get to, hopefully in the next year. I have quite a few unread nonfiction books on my shelves, not as many as I do fiction, but part of my Read My Bookshelves challenge for 2025 is going to be to read a variety of genres off my shelves, and nonfiction is definitely one of those. But for today, since it is Nonfiction November, I thought I would just share a few kind of random nonfiction books with you all, and maybe you'll find something here to add to your own TBR pile, or maybe you have read one of these and I'd love to chat with you about nonfiction books. So grab your beverage of choice and let's settle in for some talk about nonfiction books. The first book that I'm going to talk about, I read because Miranda Mills picked this, I believe for her Comfort book club pick a long time ago, and that is Dinner with Edward by Isabel Vincent. This is the story of Isabel when she is, I think she's going through a divorce or she's just gotten divorced, and so she's living on her own, and Edward is the father of a friend of hers, and I think he's like 93? Yes, 93, and he's a widow, and they become friends. They sort of bond over a love of food, and this is all about the dinners that they share together and just Isabel's friendship with Edward. And Edward is such an indomitable spirit, and I absolutely loved him, loved his character. And I have to say that one of the main things that I took away from this book was actually how to cook scrambled eggs in the most delicious way. I call them scrambled eggs a la Edward, and I don't cook them that way all the time. If I'm in a hurry, I just scramble them up and put them in the pan. But if you want the fluffiest, lightest, most delicious scrambled eggs you've ever had, read Dinner with Edward and make Edward's scrambled eggs. The key is not putting the eggs all in at the same time. You put in half the egg mixture, cook that for a little bit, and then add the second half, and it really does make a difference. So definitely recommend that one. If you like food memoirs, then this one you should definitely check out. The next book I'm going to share is by a favorite author of mine of nonfiction. I find him incredibly funny, and his books about travel are absolutely fantastic, and that's Bill Bryson. But one of my favorites of his, probably my all-time favorite of his, is A Walk in the Woods, which is about when Bill decided to walk the Appalachian Trail, which is a trail that spans, I think it's like 2,100 miles from Georgia to Maine on the east coast of the US. And it is quite the hiking trail, and so he gets his friend Stephen Katz to go with him, and Katz is hilarious. They both are, really. They get themselves into a number of humorous situations. They come across other hikers and, just have all these hilarious experiences with them, but it also is a way for them to reacquaint themselves with the natural world, and I appreciate that piece of it as well. It has been so long since I read this book, but I still think about it, and there's a whole scene with a bear, which I won't go into, but is laugh out loud funny. And Bill Bryson is very self-deprecating, and if you need something just light and, lift your spirits, then A Walk in the Woods will definitely give you that. Any Bill Bryson will, but this one in particular. My next book is going to take us in kind of the opposite direction of Bill Bryson into something a little bit more spiritual, and that is Help, Thanks, Wow, The 3 Essential Prayers by Anne Lamott. Have you ever noticed that sometimes books fall into your lap exactly at the moment that you need them. Well, this was 100% one of those books. My husband had a major medical emergency in the fall of 2020, so we were thick in the pandemic and he had to be rushed to the hospital, and it was a very scary time for our family. Luckily, he recovered almost 100%, but nothing makes you rethink life and faith and all of those big questions when something medically major happens to somebody that you love. So I was really floundering. My son was still very young and it was very, very scary. But this book got me through, in addition to the support of all my family and friends. But this was the book that really helped me. For me personally, I think faith and religion is a very personal thing, and you won't hear me talking a lot about my own personal beliefs on here, but this book, I really appreciate that Anne Lamott, she does a lot of questioning. She doesn't just take faith at face value, and she does have faith, but it's been a lifetime of searching and seeking and trying to understand, and I feel like I'm on a similar journey, and so her books really resonate with me in that way. But I just wanted to read you a quote from this that really struck me when I read it. I marked so many things in this book, though. It says, "You may in fact be wondering what I even mean when I use the word prayer. It's certainly not what TV Christians mean. It's not for display purposes like plastic sushi or neon. Prayer is private, even when we pray with others. It is communication from one's heart to God. Or, if that is too triggering or ludicrous a concept for you, to the good, the force that is beyond our comprehension, but that in our pain or supplication or relief we don't need to define or have proof of or any established contact with." This book really helped me to find a way to pray that felt meaningful to me. So basically, her 3 prayers are to ask for help, to say thanks, or wow. And she goes into exactly what she means by all of those things. And I still use these 3 sort of tenets of prayer to this day. This is a slim little book, but it packs a punch. In fact, I bought it very cheaply on Kindle, and then I had to have a physical copy. She has 3 other books that are kind of part of a little series with this one. I've read Stitches, and then she has Hallelujah Anyway, and Small Victories is the other one. And I have all of those on my shelf that I also want to read. But I find Anne Lamott very comforting to read about her perspective on faith and spirituality. So if this sounds like something that might resonate with you, I thought I would share it here because it really meant a lot to me at a time in my life when I was really having a hard time. And it's amazing the power of words and of books to help us through. And speaking of books, my next pick is a book about books, and that is How Reading Saved My Life by Anna Quindlen. I don't really love this edition. There are some much nicer editions of this book, and I'd love to track one down at some point, but when I wanted to read this was what I could get my hands on. And it's just Anna Quindlen talking about books. And she says, "Reading has always been my home, my sustenance, my great invincible companion. Book love, Trollope called it. It will make your hours pleasant to you as long as you live." And she says, "I did not read from a sense of superiority or advancement or even learning. I read because I loved it more than any other activity on earth." So she sort of lifts up her thoughts about reading. And then I love this book because it's got a bunch of lists of books at the end. And there is nothing I love more than a good list. So she's got like 10 big, thick, wonderful books that could take you a whole summer to read, but aren't beach books. 10 nonfiction books that help us understand the world. Anyway, she's got, oh my goodness, there's like 10 or so lists of books in here. And this is such a slim little piece of writing, but really, really wonderful. And if you love books and reading, then you should absolutely give this a read. It's fantastic. Those are the 4 books that I have read and really enjoyed, and think maybe some of you might enjoy them as well. And then I also pulled 4 more books off of my nonfiction shelves that I really, really would like to get to in the next year. So the first one is a fairly new book on my shelf. Well, I mean, this is a secondhand copy, but The book itself is new to me personally, and that is Dear Madam. And this is the refreshing adventures of a woman who at the age of 80 found a new life in the wilds of the Siskiyou Mountains near Happy Camp, California. So she just decided to go live alone for a full round year in this cabin along the Klamath River. And so this is just all about her experience of doing that. And she was known as Dear Madam. I'm not sure exactly why, but it says, her daily world, her unusual zest for living, her jaunty humor, and her fresh and original observations, these are detailed with clarity and directness. Small wonder that at the end of her year, on her 81st birthday, Dear Madam concluded that she wanted to continue this good life close to the soil, where she found that the people she needed also needed her. Here she discovered the full and happy life with the deepest satisfaction living can offer. And I just love that. I love people who, you know, sort of find their own way in life and do things unexpected and try to live in a simpler sort of back to the earth kind of a way. And yeah, that just, I'm really drawn to that. I really am drawn to like simpler living and ideas and ways of how to do that and just other people's experiences of that. So I'm very much looking forward to this. And I love this illustration on the cover. It's great. And then my next book that I want to read is a collection of essays. This year, I have been reading my way through Mary Oliver's poetry. I have a collection of her poetry called Devotions, and it is collected from numerous volumes of poetry that she wrote and had published throughout the years. And Devotions was put together, compiled by her very close to her death. And so it's full of poetry that she wrote throughout her entire life. And it's really been a wonderful experience to sit and read a few poems. I haven't been doing it daily, though I have started a new daily practice just this week, and I'm trying to read 2 or 3 poems every morning. And so far it is working, and I'm hoping I will finish the collection up before the end of the year. But because I read that, I have had this collection of Mary Oliver's essays on my shelf for longer than I had the poetry collection. And this is her collection called Upstream. It follows Oliver as she contemplates the pleasure of artistic labor, her boundless curiosity for the flora and fauna that surround her, and the responsibility she has inherited from Shelley, Wordsworth, Emerson, Poe, and Frost, the great thinkers and writers of the past, to live thoughtfully and intelligently and to observe with passion. Oliver positions not just herself upstream, but us as well, as she encourages us to keep moving, to lose ourselves in the awe of the unknown, and to give power and time to the creative and whimsical urges that live within us. And that just sounds absolutely wonderful. So let me see, how many essays are in here? Not that many. There's maybe like 15 or so. It's broken up into 5 sections. Yes, this is definitely a book I want to start diving into as soon as I finish up Mary Oliver's poetry. So sounds so wonderful. I love her poetry. I love her writing. I just love her thoughts on life and the natural world. And she's so beautiful with words. And then next is a book that I just randomly came across. I think it may be Half Price Books. And this I am going to read when I finish reading all of the Little House on the Prairie books. And this I had never heard of before. It's called West from Home, Letters of Laura Ingalls Wilder, in San Francisco, 1915. So this is when the Panama Pacific International Exposition was going on in San Francisco. And so Laura Ingalls Wilder came to San Francisco at the urging of her married daughter, Rose Wilder Lane, to visit the city and see the marvelous attractions at the fair. So she came alone because Almanzo could not leave the farm. And so she wrote long letters to him to share all her excitement about her trip. And these letters were discovered after her death, and they have been published. So I'm going to read this after I finish all the Little House books, because I think it will just be a wonderful way to kind of wrap up my journey through Laura Ingalls Wilder's life. So very much looking forward to this. And then last, because I've talked about books and reading, and geez, I should have a book about tea here. I don't have a book about tea. I just have a mug of tea instead. But of course, one of my other great loves is cats. I keep seeing these letters of note books put together by Sean Usher, and I think I got this one. Did I get this on Book Out? I did. And I saw this one on Book Outlet. It was very, very cheap. And so I thought, well, I need to have this because it's about cats. And what's not to love about cats? The Letters of Note was started, let's see, there's a little thing in here about just letters of note in general. It was born in 2009 with the launch of lettersofnote.com, which was a website celebrating old-fashioned correspondence. And the first Letters of Note volume was published in October 2013. And since then, they've gone on to publish many other collections. So there's quite a few Letters of Note books. So a lot of these are well-known, famous people who have written letters about cats to other people. So one is Rachel Carson to Dorothy Freeman. We have Jack Lemmon to Walter Matthau, Sylvia Townsend Warner and David Garnett, Anne Frank to Kitty, Charles Dickens to John Forster, T.S. Eliot. How could you not have T.S. Eliot in a book about cats? Elizabeth Taylor to Her Missing Cat. I wonder if that's Elizabeth Taylor, the actress, or Elizabeth Taylor, the author. Does it say? Yes, the actress. There's Raymond Chandler to Charles Morton, Florence Nightingale to Mrs. Frost. Yes, so there are 27 notes about cats. So yes, this is all notes, letters about cats. So yes, this is all about cats. What's not to love? This sounds like a little delight. So this might be fun just to kind of dip in and out of one month, put this next to my bed, and I could read a couple of letters every night. Those are some nonfiction books that I would really love to get to sooner rather than later. Oh, I have so many books I want to read. You guys, it's really a problem. But this is why I am going to do my 2025 Read My Shelves challenge, because I'm going to make some good, significant progress. Details about that are coming soon, so if anyone else wants to join me in reading your shelves, then stay tuned because I'm going to have a video coming out about that very, very soon. But yes, I have all these lovely books and I need to read them, right? Yes. Yes, there are wonderful stories within them to be told, and I want to know them. That is it for some nonfiction recommendations and some nonfiction books I'm hoping to read. I'd love to chat with you in the comments. Have you read any of these or any of these on your TBR? And what are some of your favorite nonfiction books that you've read? Thank you, as always, for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, and I'll be back with another bookish video very soon. Bye!